What up racer, it's Jerone here and welcome back to another league racing video. Today's Thursday, which means it's time for Apex online racing again. And we're here at Imola today, so it's a new track in terms of league racing for me. If you didn't see the previous video, and I know I say this quite often, but this time really, if you didn't see the previous video in this league, then I highly recommend you go check that one out. But let's get to this race again. I've already skipped ahead into qualifying quite a bit. We've all done our first stint on the inters, let's say. Currently P5, not too far off of pole. And yeah, I think it's time to get into qualifying now. Important race for my teammate today. I believe she is 9 points behind Solid Ninja, who's in second place. So if you haven't clicked off by the video now, I guess it's spoiled. I've already won the league here, so this is just basically for fun at this point for me. So yeah, let's see what I can do today. Didn't practice overly much for this race. I did do a social race around here for once, but in the grand scheme of things I definitely did a little bit less practice than normal. So we'll see what I can do. First little mistake I made here, I didn't leave enough time for 3 flying laps in these intermediate conditions again. So I will only have 2 laps here. So braking for turn 1 in the wet, it's just before the 150. And these 2 corners are so tricky in the wet. You want to carry as much speed as possible, but sometimes you just have to hold yourself back a little bit and don't push too much, because you don't want to spin out of your quali lap, of course. So far though, it's quite an okay lap going through Tosa, taking a little wider line than I would usually, trying to get a little power, bit of wheel spin in 4th gear there. But so far, this lap is quite tidy, I would say. But then I do miss the apex and a little oversteer moment on traction as well. So all the time I gained in sector 1, I basically lost it again through those corners. Then Aqua Minerale, I think that was quite good. Then heading into this very sketchy chicane, and not very optimal, but I think it's relatively okay. And we're a little bit more than a 10th up on our previous best time. So braking for the final 2 corners and just basically roll the car through and make sure you carry speed through there. And it is a little improvement, so provisionally we go up to 4th place. And let's see what I can do on the final lap then. So heading into turns 1 and 2 again, and you can see unfortunately I don't really optimize the track here, and to make things even worse I nearly spin off, and that just loses me so much time. Then going through the second chicane, I think I touched the grass on the left a little bit, and to make things even worse I also invalidate the lap. So yeah, basically 4.5 tenths down in sector 1. There was no way I was going to recover that. Actually going across the line was only a 10.5, so it just shows I gained 3 tenths relative to my previous lap on, well, basically after I invalidated. So unfortunately it means I'll qualify in 6th place. It's only 3 tenths off of pole, but still. Many drivers managed to hook up their laps, whereas I didn't really, so I guess I paid the price for that, and I'm starting right in the middle of the pack. Iceman did a good job at snatching pole, then Solid in 2nd and Rally Monster in 3rd. So when it comes to fuel, I basically, in dry conditions, I use exactly 0 laps of extra fuel. So I thought maybe 0.4 under fueling would be fine, so that's what we're going to do. For the race, it will dry up towards the halfway point of the race somewhere. So the first half of the race it will be intermediate conditions, and well, the weather gods will tell whether we'll box onto a set of mediums or onto a set of softs. But the 5 red lights were on actually, because we're already underway, and it's quite an okay start I would say. But then my teammate had an excellent start, who started right behind me, and I kind of get boxed in here as Pasty goes a little bit deep. I have a driver on my inside, that's Diksha in the Williams. Pasty ran too deep, so at the time I thought it would be better to basically switch lines and not stay behind Pasty, but that meant that Diksha did manage to get down my inside, so the German's up to 6th place in the race. Teammate gaining 3 positions right at the start, and I think at the front they basically stayed in position how they started. So lost one position there at the start, but overall not too bad. Still a long race to go, and considering we'll be switching to dry tires at some point in the race, I think there will still be plenty of opportunities to go forward. Plus, some people might be making mistakes here in the early part of the race. While saying that, Diksha actually getting out of shape a little bit, but it's not really an opportunity to try and send it down the inside. Actually, Diksha also running a little bit deep into the chicane. So also on this exit I do have a little bit of overspeed, but it's just not too much to make a move here into the final couple of corners. I think Rivazza, that's what they're called. I don't know, maybe I'm looking really stupid now. But anyways, I'll shut up for now and I'll just continue my commentary here. So, first lap finished, and you can just see it will be a very difficult race in order to overtake, or at least here in the intermediate conditions. So we've already skipped on to lap 11. Basically nothing happened for the first 10 laps. We're still in P7, but actually now there's a bit of fighting between my teammate and Chronexus. Chronexus picked up a little bit of damage somewhere on the last lap, so he's holding us back a little bit now. And you can also see that on the minimap. You can see it's Solid leading, then Bradley Monster in second in the Red Bull, and Iceman in third in his AlphaTauri car. And then there's Chronexus holding basically Ralph, Diksha, myself and Basti up a little bit, and behind us there's already a significant gap to P9 in the race. So most likely we won't have to worry about anyone outside the top 8 anymore. As you can see, Chronexus is having trouble with his damage, and you can also see Diksha planning a move down the inside and making it work into the second chicane. So I guess it's my turn now to try and force a move on the Croatian driver. So trying to set up the exit here out of Toza, but it's just about not enough as we close up to his diffuser, and I think we actually made a little bit of contact there. But it's definitely not enough to cause wing damage. And unfortunately, yellow flags. My teammates right after overtaking, well, not right after, but like a lap and a half after overtaking Chronexus, off into the wall. And actually I had a poor exit there out of the Aqua Minerale, and that means that Pasti can slip down my inside here. I really did not want to go side by side through there. That's just basically a death wish, so let's just not do that. As you can see now, getting to lap 14, we're basically getting to this halfway point of the race where it's getting drier. But hold on, let's first try and make a move on Pasti. I didn't want to poke my nose in there, would have been very risky once again. I didn't feel like I was alongside far enough to force that move, so it means that both Pasti and I will have to sit behind Chronexus for a little longer. And you could tell on that lap, Jeff came up with a radio message that he wasn't sure whether inters or dries would be faster at this point. So Pasti trying the same move again as he tried on me, but this time he overshoots the corner, runs too deep, forces Chronexus to be slow on the exit. So we get the position on Pasti, and we're also right up the diffuser of Crow. And in hindsight, I wish I'd kept my overtake on and sent it down the inside there, but I didn't, so it means I'll still have to stay behind Crow for a little bit longer. I actually wasn't quite aware that he had damage at this point. I thought maybe he was just overheating and his tires were dropping off at this point. But actually, we'll keep the overtake on here. And once again, just putting on pressure, but it's not enough. Trying an alternative line here. But I didn't manage to stay close enough to Chronexus to go for a move into the second chicane. So it means we'll have to wait for the pit stop phase, which has just arrived now. And to which tires do I switch? Well, it's lap 15, and realistically, medium tires will be the best bet at this point in the race. So, fortunately for me, Chronexus did manage to, or, well, he wasn't even aware he had damage himself, but his pit crew has repaired his front wing now, so it means he's not in front of us anymore, but rather behind us at this point. and you can see it's still quite slippery out there, even though the DRS had been enabled already basically a lap ago. It's still just very treacherous out here, and running a little bit deep into Toza opens up the line for Pasty, who decided to go for a set of softs. And the same can be said for Solid Ninja, so interesting decisions by them. I personally prefer the medium tires, but you can quite clearly see soft tires are working way better at this point in the race, so they will definitely gain an advantage on me and also on Diksha, who's currently in front of Solid Ninja. Solid Ninja actually had a spin coming out of the pit lane, I believe, so that's why he dropped down a couple of positions and also lost touch with the leading two, who are currently Rally Monster and Iceman. So next lap you can see the last two drivers who stayed out on intermediate tires now also come into the pit lane, and we're in a net P6 in this race at the moment. So these dry conditions definitely suited me a lot more, and I think it already also shows, because I've caught up about 2 seconds to Diksha in the last 5 laps, so I have a good pace advantage over the German driver. Also Pasty now 5 seconds up the road with a 3-second time penalty, and he's currently driving right behind Solid Ninja, I believe. So the soft tires will definitely drop off towards the end of the race, so I don't think it's out of the equation yet to try and get Pasty. But as I closed in within 1 second on the last lap on Diksha, you can see that I unfortunately there picked up my 3-second time penalty. And, well, I wouldn't say it's game over, but it will definitely make the situation a bit more complicated now in order to score some better points. But actually, interestingly, lap 25, Pasty decides to come into the pit lane, so after 10 laps of driving on his set of softs, he calls it a day and decides to go for a 2-stop race. So interesting decision there. Solid will not pit this race. He will basically force his tires towards the end of the race. And for myself, I caught up to Diksha on lap 23 and stayed behind until lap 26, recharged the battery all the way to 80% for the start of this straight. And because I was so close behind him, I could easily make the move, and we have half a battery to play with in this lap. And what I was thinking here, I was basically setting up Diksha because I knew I had a little bit better natural pace here in dry conditions. Plus, by staying behind, I could save my battery, whereas Diksha couldn't save as much. So my plan was to get past and immediately try and pull away. So coming out of Toza, we'll keep the overtake on up the hill, and you can already see the gap has grown to 9/10 as I nearly get a warning for track limits there, running a little bit too wide. So Diksha got back up a 10th again, then heading up the hill again, once again, making sure I use my battery power, and coming into this awkward chicane, it's once again up to 9/10. So we'll try and get out of DRS range. The DRS detection point is in the corner we're about to come up to now, and you can see it's very tight. 9/10, basically on the brink of a second, and maybe Diksha still in, but we'll see now whether he will close up on the straight. Once again, we'll keep on the overtake to make sure we still pull away, and you can see Diksha's not closing up, so that means he was not able to clinch onto my DRS. So mission successful at this point, and you can also see Diksha now 1.4 behind. What should also be noted is the fact that Solid Ninja has a 5-second time penalty, most likely for speeding into the pit lane. Maybe he will be able to get that one removed, but at this moment in time it's not really a concern for us, and due to my 3-second time penalty I have to get within 2 seconds of Solid Ninja, and also I have to get Diksha to be at least 3 seconds behind me, who currently is on 2 seconds with only 2.5 laps remaining. So you can definitely tell mediums are a lot better than the softs at this point, and we're really closing in on Solid Ninja towards this end of the stint. So probably over the whole stint it was the best decision to go for a set of mediums, even though it was quite tricky and treacherous at the beginning of the stint. I do think it was the right decision, and you can see End of lap 31, and we're 2.9 seconds ahead of Diksha, and we're closing up to Solid Ninja. A bit of a problem though, I don't have any battery charge left, so even though I do have DRS here, of course I'll try and drain the battery, but Solid Ninja's red light's still not blinking, so, oh, it's blinking now, but it won't be enough to force a move on him. He actually goes defensive. I don't think I would have been close enough to go for a move there, and annoyed me a little bit because my main goal at this stage was trying to pull away from Diksha, since I already achieved staying within 2 seconds of Solid. But watch the top left now. Diksha, 4 seconds, 4.7, 5 seconds, 5.3, 5.5. He's out of fuel, and it means I'll be able to get the final spot on the podium here. I was quite happy with that, to be honest. Really unlucky for Diksha, as we see him here running out of fuel. Great win by Rally Monster, he was really strong today. Also a nice one from Iceman to get second in the race. Top 2 was basically gone for me. Also, Solid was sticking with the top 3, but he made a mistake, so all in all, I do think I was quite lucky to actually get onto the podium here. It's definitely an extra spot I wouldn't have been able to gain otherwise. Love to battle with Diksha as well, and overall I do think Imola is quite a cool track for league racing. Next week is the final race of the season around Brazil, which is a track I'm quite strong at. And if you want to make sure you don't miss it, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you for the next video. Bye bye.